शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। स्वरूपानुसन्धानं श्लोक 2। दयालुं गुरुं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं प्रशान्तं समाराध्य भक्त्या विचार्य स्वरूपं यदाप्नोति तत्त्वं निदिध्यास्य विद्वान् परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवाहमस्मि। साधना, the word sadhana literally means a means, an instrument to accomplish something. If I have to go to Delhi, I need a sadhana, a means, train or flight. In Vedanta, when we use the word sadhana, we refer to moksha sadhana, the means for moksha. All that contributes to my pursuit of moksha is a sadhana. Sadhyate anena iti sadhanam. That by means of which I accomplish moksha is sadhana. There are two types of sadhanas: Bahiranga sadhana and Antaranga sadhana. What is Bahiranga sadhana? What is Antaranga sadhana? There was a great Acharya in our tradition. Sarvajñatma Muni. He has written a work, Sankshepa Sharirakam. Some of you might have heard of the work, Sankshepa Sharirakam. He defines Bahiranga Sadhana and Antaranga Sadhana. Bahiranga Sadhana is the sadhana which produces jijnasa. A sadhana which produces jijnasa is called Bahiranga Sadhana. Jijnasa is the desire to get jnana. Then what is Antaranga Sadhana? It is the sadhana which gives jnana. Jijnasa janakam sadhanam bahiranga sadhanam. Jnana janakam sadhanam antaranga sadhanam. The sadhana which produces jijnasa is bahiranga sadhana, and the sadhana which produces jnana is antaranga sadhana. Let's try to understand this with an example. While thinking of an example, I remembered an incident which happened when I was a schoolboy. During my free time, I used to do many works. And one such works was to assist a doctor. I was in a doctor's clinic and I was assisting that doctor. I was helping some small works. Then a patient came. He was a 26-year-old boy. Boy or man, whatever you call it. And he was explaining his problem. The patient said, I am very weak, lean. I want to become strong. I want to put up some weight. How to do it, doctor? Then the doctor said, you should eat well. You should eat nutritious food. And the doctor gave a list of nutritious food. Milk, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and so on and so on. After listening to this, the patient said, that's fine, but I am not able to eat much. Why? I do not have appetite. There is no appetite. Then the doctor understood the problem. Oh, this patient doesn't have appetite. Appetite is the desire to eat and the ability to eat. The hunger, It includes the ability to assimilate the food. The patient is lacking in appetite. Then the doctor prescribed some medicine to increase the patient's appetite. So now, in this example, the patient has to put off weight. How to do it? The direct means is to eat nutritious food. It is the antaranga sadhana. But to eat nutritious food, he should have appetite. Then he needs a medicine to produce appetite. The medicine is bahiranga sadhana. Because the medicine does not produce strength directly. The medicine produces appetite and indirectly serves as a means to make him healthy. Likewise, if I want moksha, I need jnana. And all that gives me jnana is the direct sadhana, antaranga sadhana. It includes shravana, manana, nididhyasana, approaching a guru, everything. All that I do to get Atma Jnana. But then, if I have to pursue Jnana, I should have Jijnasa. Jijnasa is very much lacking. That is why people don't take interest in Shravana, Manana, etc. Jijnasa is not just a curiosity. Just a curiosity does not end in a proper pursuit of Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana. I am curious to know what is Vedanta, and I can just Google out. Oh, Advaita, Jiva is Brahman. My curiosity comes to an end with some superficial, vague understanding. It is not a jijnasa. If I have jijnasa, I will not stop with the superficial, vague understanding. I will pursue the knowledge with the full strength. I will be committed to the knowledge. But generally, nowadays, everyone wants to tag himself or herself as a qualified person, as an adhikari. But the fact is far away. If you are coming to Vedanta, definitely you have some adhikaritva. But that doesn't mean it is enough. The adhikaritva is generally lacking. That's why someone said, we enter Vedanta through back door. I don't want to say that. You enter Vedanta through front door, but yet there is a need to enhance adhikaritva. The adhikaritva is mainly jijnasa. A true thirst for Atmajnana is jijnasa. To have jijnasa, to cultivate jijnasa, you need bahiranga sadhana. What is bahiranga sadhana? We have discussed yajna, dana and tapas. Tametam vedanuvachanena brahmana vividishanti. Yajnena danena tapasa anashakena. Study of the Shastra, yajna, dana and tapas are the bahiranga sadhana. They produce jijnasa. Like appetizer. So, what I mean to say is, in the first shloka, we have seen bahiranga sadhana. Tapoyajnadanadibhihi refers to bahiranga sadhana. In the second shloka, we are discussing antaranga sadhana. Guru pasadanam, approaching a guru, and then shavanam. We are in the word vicharya swarupam. Second quarter of the shloka. Vicharya swarupam. Vichara. Vichara is antaranga sadhana. And vichara includes Shravana and Manana. We have discussed Shravana. Vedantasya tatparyavadharanam. Ascertaining the purport of Vedanta. This is what Vedanta has to convey. There should be clarity about it. Vedanta conveys Advaita. Vedanta conveys Jiva Brahma Aikya. One should be clear about it. Just understanding vaguely Vedanta conveys Advaita, it is not enough. Nowadays, many people talk Advaita. A superficial, vague understanding of Advaita, it can cause more harm than good. People quote Advaita for everything, for their convenience. everything is Brahman, everything is one, so I can do anything I like. If everything is one, then why your money should remain in your pocket? Give your money to me, let it remain in my pocket. It's a vague understanding of Advaita. One should have clarity. What really Vedanta means to say. It requires proper Shavana for a length of time, consistently. So after Shavana, we have another sadhana, Mananam. As I said, Shavanena Pramana Shanka Nivritti. Shavana removes Pramana Shanka. You do not have any doubt about what Vedanta has to say. Vedanta reveals Advaita. You are clear about it. Then another doubt arises. Another doubt. It is called Prameya Shanka. What is Prameya Shanka? Is Advaita logically tenable? Is Jiva Brahma Aikya logical? Or is it illogical? Advaita sounds illogical, prima facie, because we see duality. Our senses reveal duality. Pratyaksha Pramana reveals a duality, Dvaita. I am different, the world is different, and I am a limited individual. There is a big world in front of me. And if there is an Ishvara, he has to be different from me. Definitely, I am not Ishvara. Ishvara is Sarvajna. I don't remember my mobile number. Definitely, I cannot be Ishvara. Definitely, the world cannot be unreal because I experience the world. So, my experience says otherwise. The Vedanta says something different. Only one reality, Brahman. You are Brahman. Sounds like nonsense. Then I get this question. Is Vedanta logically tenable? This is called Prameya Shanka. वेदान्तस्य प्रमेयस्य विषये शंका. About Vedanta Prameya, about the subject matter of Vedanta, I get a doubt, a logical doubt. Is it logically possible or is it illogical? Then this doubt has to be cleared. And the process of clearing this doubt is called manana. Prameya Shanka Nivrittihi. Removal of Prameya Shanka is by means of manana. How to remove it? I have to make use of proper logics, proper reasoning. With the proper reasoning, I ascertain the logical tenability of Advaita. Advaita is logically possible. Advaita is not illogical. I arrive at this conclusion by means of manana. If you look into our texts, right from the Upanishads, we find so many logics in favor of Advaita. So the student may get many logical doubts and it is addressed. Every doubt is addressed in the works. Some are addressed in the Upanishad and some are addressed in the works of the Acharyas like Shankaracharya, Vidyaranya, Madhusudana Saraswati. All of them have logically worked out Advaita and established how Advaita is not illogical. So, mananena prameya shanka nivritti. In Shravana, see, let me make some compare and contrast between Shravana and Manana. In Shravana, we mainly deal with Vedanta Pramana. We mainly deal with the statements of Vedanta. But when we do Manana, we make use of other Pramanas. Please remember that we have discussed 6 Pramanas in the first session, I suppose. When we do Manana, we mainly make use of other Pramanas and mainly Anumana Pramana, inference. you will find many anuman, many inferences used in the process of manana. Let me give an example. Jagan mithya. The Jagat is mithya. I am addressing a person who is doubting the mithyatva of the Jagat. I taught him Jagat is mithya. Then he is looking at me suspiciously. How is it possible? Because his experience says Jagat is Satya. Then I have to give a logic. Jagan mithya. The Jagat is mithya. This is my proposition. It is called pratigna, a proposition. Just a proposition is not enough. I have to give a valid reason. I give a valid reason. Drishyatvat. Because the Jagat is drishya. It is an object. The Jagat is an object. Drishyatvat. It is called hetu, reason. Just giving a reason is also not enough. I have to establish that it is a valid reason. How can I establish its validity? By giving an example where I have established its validity. I have established its validity in dream. Swapna drishyavat. Like the dream objects. The dream objects are objects and they are unreal. Therefore, anything which is an object can be unreal. Swapna drishyavat. So, Jagan mithya drishyatvat swapna drishyavat. This is an anuman, an inference. I am not going to expand this reasoning. I am just giving a sample. So, if people have doubt about it, we will do further manana later on. So, with such logics, we establish the logical validity of Advaita. So, with the manana, you remove all doubts, all logical doubts. Now, we can use two types of logics. The first type of logic is called kutarka. You know what is kutarka? Kutarka means you have already arrived at a conclusion on your own. And you don't want to let go of your conclusion. And you argue in favor of your conclusion. Just to defend your conclusion. It is called kutarka. The Vedanta says something and you have arrived at some other conclusion, contrary to the teaching of Vedanta. If the Vedanta says you are Brahman, you have already arrived at another conclusion. No, I am not Brahman. And you don't want to give up your previous conclusion. And you want to defend your conclusion and start putting forward logics which are seemingly correct in favor of your own philosophy. It is called Kutarka. We can often find people doing Kutarka, not necessarily in Vedanta, even in day-to-day things. If someone tries to explain me something, I am not open to it. I have my own ideas and I keep defending it with my own logics. And I myself know my logic may not be correct. It is Kutarka. With the Kutarka, one can never understand Vedanta. Instead, I have to be open the Vedanta is revealing Advaita. Suppose I don't understand what the Vedanta is saying. I am not convinced at this moment. Then I have two choices. Number one, to reject the teaching of Vedanta and say, I am right, Vedanta is wrong. I am right, the gurus are wrong. It is Kutarka. It is because of lack of Shraddha. I am lacking in Shraddha, therefore I reject Vedanta. I reject the Guru. But if I have Shraddha, I will remain open. Vedanta cannot be wrong because Vedanta is a time-tested wisdom and many people have understood it and many people have been benefited throughout the history. Therefore, the Vedanta cannot be wrong. If I am not convinced, it is because of some problem in my own understanding. Therefore, let me be open. Let me be open to get convinced. And with this attitude, I start reasoning. And the Guru comes to my help. The Shastra comes to my help. And I learn the reasoning. I do manana with an open mind, with a clear mind. This kind of reasoning is called वेदांत अनुगुण युक्ति. Vedanta Anuguna Yukti. I reason in such a way which is favorable to understand Vedanta with an open mind, with the Shraddha. So, this is Manana. In due course, all my doubts get cleared, all my vagueness get cleared. As a result of Shravana and Manana, I am clear. No doubts, no vagueness. I am Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. I am able to say with confidence. I have no doubt about it. I have Nishchaya. When there is no Samshaya, there is Nishchaya. I don't have Samshaya. Pramana Samshaya, Pramana Shanka is gone with the help of Shravana. And Prameya Shanka is gone with the help of Manana. All my Shankas are gone. All my Samshaya is gone. Then what is there? Nishchaya. Aham Brahmasmi. I am nothing other than Brahman. I have Nishchaya. I know very well, no doubts. Yet, there is a problem. Though I know I am Brahman, I continue to have samsara. I continue to lament. I continue to suffer. Why? Because there are some other problems. They are called Viparita Bhavana. Viparita Bhavana. Bhavana is a thought pattern. A habitual thought pattern is called bhavana. Is a habitual thought pattern. Just like, we have physical habits. Every day morning we wake up and brush our teeth. It has become a habit. Most often we do it without thinking, without being mindful. As soon as we wake up, we go to the wash basin and brush our teeth. So there are so many habits. Physically, we have so many habits. How we move our hands, how we move our head, how we speak. There are so many habits. Likewise, we have a habitual way of thinking also. Even our thoughts have their habits. Habitually, we think in a particular way. And we have been thinking so. The habitual ways of thinking define our personality, determine our personality. Now, certain bhavanas, certain habitual thinkings are opposed to Vedanta. They are opposed to the vision of Vedanta. They are called Viparita Bhavana. Viparita means opposite. The thoughts, the habitual thoughts that are opposite to Vedanta. For example, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, is Vedanta. Jnana, Brahmajnana. Now there is a thought which is opposed to this. Aham Jivaha, I am Jiva, I am Mr. So and so, I am limited. I am infinite is a jnana. I am limited is Viparita Bhavana. Now this Viparita Bhavana is very strong because it is very, very senior. It has been there in my mind for a very, very long time. Therefore it is very strong. Jnana is relatively new. Aham Brahmasmi is very new, junior. Now this Viparita Bhavana does not allow my jnana to stay. It suppresses the jnana. This is my place. It occupies our mind. As long as these Viparita Bhavanas are strong, even if there is jnana, it is of no use. It is as good as absent because it cannot do its work. Therefore, if I have to benefit from the jnana, I have to remove the Viparita Bhavanas. At least weaken the Viparita Bhavanas. How to do it? The process is called Nididhyasana. Viparita Bhavana Nivrittihi. To remove Viparita Bhavana, we do Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana is nothing but Jnana Abhyasa. Jnanabhyasa. You deliberately abide in the knowledge. A deliberate practice of abidance in the knowledge. Jnanabhyasa. And it has to be done constantly, regularly, until all the viparita bhavana weakens down. The more I abide in the jnana, the more I abide in the thoughts like aham brahmasmi, jagan mithya, aham purnaha, etc. The jnana gets a strength in my mind. The thoughts of jnana becomes stronger in my mind. Jnana dardhya. Dardhya means strengthening. Jnana dardhya takes place. Knowledge gets rooted, it takes root in my mind. And then the viparita bhavana cannot disturb the jnana. The viparita bhavanas become weaker and weaker as the jnana gains strength. So, many people have been asking me about some practical guidelines for nididhyasana. How to do nididhyasana? Because many people are not new to these words, nididhyasana, etc. Because you have been listening to Vedanta for a very long time, most of you. A practical guidelines. How to do nididhyasana? First of all, before finding a solution, we should recognize the problem. We should identify the problem. Recognize your viparita bhavana. This is the first step. Identify your viparita bhavana. It is not easy. You have to do a lot of introspection. Sit quiet for a while at the end of every day, maybe before going to bed or in the evening, and identify your viparita bhavanas. What kind of thought pattern is making me a samsari? What kind of thought pattern is causing an emotional problem in me? Identify them. It may be in the form of, I am lacking, I am apurnaha. This may be a thought pattern. Or Jagat is Satya, world is real. This may be another thought pattern. I am insecure. This may be another thought pattern. So, identify and list your viparita bhavanas. You can even make use of writing, diary, to recognize your viparita bhavana. Then, step number two, recognize a proper counter thought. Which can counter the Viparita Bhavana. The counter thought is the teaching of Vedanta. A corresponding counter thought. A corresponding counter thought which can remove the particular Viparita Bhavana. For example, if my Viparita Bhavana is I am lacking, I am apurnaha, then the counter thought is I am purnaha, purnoham. If my Viparita Bhavana is I need support from the world, the counter thought is I do not need support, I am independent, nirashayaha. If the Viparita Bhavana is aham dukkhi, I am sad, the counter thought is I am ananda swarupaha. So like that, for each Viparita Bhavana, you put a counter thought against it. It is jnana. The counter thought is jnana. Viparita Bhavana has to be rubbed off with the help of jnana. Now, step 3. Find a suitable Vedanta statement, a suitable word or sentence in Vedanta which reflects the counter thought. For example, you can make use of any word like purnoham, asangoham. You can make use of any word, or you can make use of any shloka. There are many shlokas like mano buddhyahankara chittani naham nacha shrotra jihve nacha ghrana netre. You can make use of such shlokas. Memorize some shlokas. Or you can make use of some sentences from Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads. Like very recently, I suggested a line from Bhagavad Gita to a lady. Nitya tripto nirashayaha. So you can pick some lines which convey the jnana. Some suitable lines from any of the Vedanta text. Now find a proper time, sit quiet, relax, make yourself free from all distractions and repeat the words mentally. Aham brahmasmi, purnoham, asangoham, any word of your choice. Repeat it mentally and abide in the meaning. Purnoham. Say to yourself and be aware of the meaning. When you repeat the word, You are entertaining the particular thought. You are abiding in the particular thought. And as you entertain the particular thought in your mind, the thought becomes stronger. The thought gets assimilated and rubs the viparita bhavana, erases the viparita bhavana. So, this is how you do nididhyasana. So, let's look into the verse. Nididhyasya vidwan, vidwan, a wise man. Nididhyasya, through nididhyasana. Yat tattvam apnoti. As a result of Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana, this Vidwan, this student of Vedanta, attains the Tattva. He arrives at the reality. Param Brahma Nityam Tadevahamasmi. It is same as the first sloka. So that Brahman which a student arrives at through Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana, that Tattva is not different from me. What I arrive at through this sadhana is not different from me. I arrive at myself through all the sadhanas. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.